Today, we talked about the government probing several vloggers and content creators for allegedly spreading false information online. How do fake news and disinformation affect politics and the upcoming midterm elections? And to discuss that, along with other pressing matters, we have former Comelec Commissioner and Partido sa Bagong Pilipino Party List first nominee, Attorney Goyo Larrazabal. Welcome to Morning Matters.
Thanks for having me here. Magandang umaga.
Okay, pag-usapan muna natin itong probe on fake news. Kasi narinig mo yung conversation namin ni NBI Director Jaime Santiago. Your experience with that, with the fighting fake news, when you were Comelec Commissioner, and that affecting the election results and the environment, and also what you're seeing now?
It's hard because before, there was basically it was a Wild West before sa 2010, and anyone can just make wild accusations. I'm happy now that Comelec is actually running after people who share fake information, share fake news, kasi you have to nip it in the bud. You have to show people that that spreading false information is not only affecting them but also affects the whole electoral process. That's bad. So I'm happy they're doing it.
But isn't it easy also for that to go the other way? Na when government does start defining what is true and what is false, it could also border on possibly affecting opinions online, posted online. Na maaaring sabihin nating facts ito, pero paano kung sabihin nila na yung sentimento mo ay mali?
Okay, that's a good point. What happens is that if the government or some individual or candidate or stakeholder believes that a candidate, supporter, whatever, or vlogger shares false information, they can file a case, right? And it's up to the Comelec to resolve that. So it's not yet automatic. It's not automatic conviction, but you have to know that they should be made accountable. Hindi pwedeng you make a statement. Bahala na si Batman. Ito, if you make a statement, you have to understand that there are consequences to the statements you make. It's good. I like it.
Do you think we have enough laws, or currently, do our laws have enough teeth in it?
Well,
to be able to go after? Kasi sabi niya kanina, ito meron yung unjust vexation, kapag minura ka ng sobra-sobra.
Slander, di ba?
Merong libel, meron inciting to sedition. I mean, do you think all of that's enough? Walang need for a new law to be able to punish those spreading disinformation?
I think there are laws naman now regarding those issues and punishing those acts. More than enacting new laws, I think there should be a thrust on implementation of those laws and making people accountable. So we have good laws. Ang problema lang hindi na-implement. So the threat of being made to face your consequences has to be there. The people have to be aware that if they make a statement, there are repercussions, and they have to be aware of those.
But have you been in tune with the recent TRICOM hearings over in Congress, where they questioned the vloggers over their posts online, na meron pang isang parte na sinabihan tanga yung gobyerno, na sinagot naman ni Congressman Benny Abante na ba't mo sinasabihang tanga yung gobyerno? I mean,
there was? Sorry.
Meron,
Sorry.
may ganun. Okay.
The past few days, past few weeks actually, I'm so busy going around the Philippines.
Okay, all right.
Snippets lang, but parang there's like one vlogger.
When I say it could border on restricting freedom of expression and speech, syempre, kahit nasabihin nating meron kang sinabing masakit, like tanga yung somebody or something, that's also part of it, right?
Yeah, but you know, when you're in government, you can't be thin-skinned, di ba? So that's also, like for example, again, I'm not saying about others, I'm saying sa amin before, masakit yung sinasabi ni Emma, but you know, you're there in government, so that's part of it. But there's a limit. If you think that you're being disparaged to a point that it affects your reputation, you can go to court. And if they feel that some people have crossed the line, there are steps they can take. They can file cases against those people. You go through the process. Hindi pwedeng Okay, may ginagawa ka, pagkatapos, sa tingin ko mali ka, hatol ka agad. Hindi pwede yun.
And of course, there are qualms over whether this mechanism of Congress hearings could be abused, and it could lead to political persecution. So
Okay.
you are running for congressman, a party list
Yes.
representative. So I think this is relevant to the
Again,
field that you want to enter, right?
Again, we're talking kasi about two things. First is address your issues in the courts, and these hearings, di ba? Hearings, they're not, whatever happens there, they're not going to imprison them. They can't impose a penalty under the law, di ba? They can probably cite them in contempt, but that's just the first step. If they really feel that a person has disparaged them or committed slander, they can file a case in court. And that's the right thing to do.
Well, to be honest, it's not quite clear what where the TRICOM investigation is going.
I don't.
If this is supposed to be in aid of legislation, di ba?
So what's the law? What are the laws? What are the bills they're
Yun din ang
proposing?
katanungan ng lahat.
What are the bills they're proposing that will hopefully be lost, di ba? Yeah, that has to be answered siguro. But again, if you think that a person committed slander against you, you file a case against them in court.
All right. Spoken like a true lawyer. And speaking of, you are running
Yes.
for party list representative of Partido sa Bagong Pilipino.
Yes.
You ran last in 2022 as Leyte district representative. What made you shift to the party list sector?
Well, the running statistic was a last-minute decision. The party list was I've been asked to run for national since 2013. I've always said no. So now, I wanted to say no now, but can't say no anymore kasi tumakbo na ako before. So I'm running as the first nominee, and I'm the president of Partido sa Bagong Pilipino. And it's a national position. And I think hopefully we win, and hopefully we'll be able to enact few laws that will help our kababayans.
Ano ba yung Partido sa Bagong Pilipino? Paano nabuo yan?
Okay, Partido sa Bagong Pilipino is a regional political party that was conceptualized back in 2019. It espoused rural development, focusing programs to help and empower the barangays and the LGUs. We're not into ayudas or whatever project. We're into helping them help themselves. Specifically, we focus on four things, but the two main are providing clean and safe drinking water and affordable health care. That includes revitalizing the Doctors Tabares program and digitizing the whole barangay healthcare system in the Philippines. Kasi I think that's something that has been overlooked for too long a time.
Saang barangay nag-ugat ito? Itong Partido sa Bagong Pilipino. I mean,
Okay. So
out of all the possible advocacies or thrusts of the party, saan nag-ugat? Ano yung kwento ng Partido ng Bagong Pilipino?
So when I retired from Comelec in 2011, I retired in 2011 tagal na yun.
Tagal na.
Tagal na yun. But I still appeared in media because people still ask me to explain the election. So I had the habit of driving around the Philippines solo. I drive like 1 week at a time. And when I'd go there, I wouldn't go to a nice hotel. I would go to the barangays and talk to the mga officials. There's no plan for politics at that time. And they say, how can I help? And I noticed that the problems of one barangay in, for example, Santan Gudarat are the same problems in the province of La Union up north. Or if you go to Tanhay in Negros, or if you go to Palumpon in Leyte, or San Francisco, it's the same problem na we help, we give water filtration systems, we give medicines, but we feel that there has to be institutional change on how to provide better services to the barangays. Not saying that, it's like, instead of complaining, we just act and we feel that we can help the government provide more services.
Like, what do you mean institutionalize the way a barangay works? Ano
That's a
ibig
good
sabihin
question.
nun?
Okay, for example, water. safe and clean drinking water. In 2023, the statistics of UNICEF said that 53% of all households in the Philippines do not have access to clean and safe drinking water. It's 55% for public schools. I talked with Secretary Sani Angara, and I said, hey, kung manalo kami, we want to help with the schools also. So that one. In the age of access to internet via satellite, 53% of all households in the Philippines do not have water. That's bad, di ba? So, if we file a bill to empower the LGUs to access or develop rainwater systems and attach water filtration systems to those structures, that would help provide more water to the barangays. It won't solve all the problems, but it will lessen the number of Filipinos who do not have access to water. Water is so important because they say, why don't you talk about agriculture? Why don't you talk about urban farming? Our reply is, okay, if you talk about agriculture, you talk about urban farming, what's the most essential element of it? Water. So you have to have water. And they say, why don't you have this, the issue of managing water districts? Sabi ko, sandali. Before we talk about the issue of managing water districts, we have to make sure that they have actually water to manage. So water is there. Then we jump to healthcare. Most of the barangay health centers in the Philippines, ang laman lang, pasensya ang laman lang doon, pang-pa-BP. That's it. Walang medisina, walang gapas, nothing. The barangay healthcare workers are there, so we need to maximize their presence, make their job more proactive. You monitor the healthcare system in the barangays so you can better track, you can better address the concerns, and you can help make Filipinos healthier.
When you say barangays, it seems like you have such a large constituency, right? If ever you win as a congressman of that. How many barangays do we have in the Philippines?
It's about 42,000. Thereabouts. So,
sobrang dami.
So, yes, but
we have also a lot of poor barangays. Barangays that don't have budgets.
Yes. So what you do is,
and at the end of the day, it boils down to how much a barangay has to be able to implement also the changes that you want. So how do you plan to have the resources trickle down to the barangay level from where you stand or where you will stand?
We have our mindset is to think big, you need to think small. To think about solving big problems, you need to think small. So you start with the barangay. And when you talk about a possible solution for a barangay, that is replicatable all over the Philippines. How do you do that? You've seen articles where there are medicines that have expired, the millions, diba? Why? So there might be a problem with the distribution of the medicines. There might be a problem with allocation, so that has to be looked at through legislation. Providing healthcare, the Doctor Salvaris program is working now, and we say it's being implemented except in the BARM area. But you need to recharge that. You need to supercharge that. So people will now feel that the government is going to them. It's there, but parang nakakalimutan na siya. So you need to reinvigorate it. There are others who might advocate the same thing. We're all for it. The more people work on it, the better.
When it comes to the barangays that you've gone around, is are there particular barangays that have struck you? And sabi mo, ito yung nag-move sa akin, dito ko nakita na ito yung mga pagkukulang, ito dapat gawin. I mean, at saan yung mga barangay na yon?
Where do I start? Where do I start? But before I go there now, let me say that, it's very humbling when we were in Hawan in General Luna in Siargao. We were the first party list nominees who went there. And we talk about the programs about, healthcare, lights, water, parang ang feeling na umiiyak sila, sabi na, uy, at least napapansin na kami. And a lot of them have the same feeling na, parang, uy, napapansin kami. So, we've gone to several barangays. There's one barangay, remember, ang cost ng diatab doon, sorry if I mentioned, is 506 pesos. Alam mo bakit? Kasi the medicine is only about 6 pesos. But to go to that barangay from the poblacion is 250 because there's no roads. Haba-haba lang. So ang biro nila, which half-heartedly masakit, is 505 or 506 pesos yung medicine for diarrhea because the cost of transportation is 500.
It's higher.
It's higher.
Than ano.
So, imagine if you can make that barangay more accessible. You don't need to asphalt it. You just need to make roads na yung mga multi-cab can pass instead of habal-habal. And the effect there would people be, the cost would be less. And tourism will increase because people can go there like Hinatuan, di ba?
Well, I asked that question because it's probably not your own barangay that needs a lot of help, right? I mean, where you come from, ang daming barangay na mas nangangailangan pa, di ba? Tama ako.
Yes.
And this question stems from the criticism that of the structure of current party list groups in Congress, that they do not actually represent the marginalized. Sabi nga ng Kontradaya, 7 out of 10 party list groups in the current elections have been hijacked by political clans, big businesses, state interests. Well, the Supreme Court has actually defined the party list as advocacies. Hindi siya nakasentro sa marginalized groups. But do you think there is, do you think that's fair? And that embodies the spirit of the party list sector.
So basically, there are parties who represent marginal sectors of society, and there are regional political parties. We're a regional political party. Let me jump one step ahead, and there have been people who have been asking, what about amending the party list law? Are you in favor of it? Sure, why not, di ba? All laws have to be reviewed every so often. So if they want to review the party list law, I'm all for it.
But do you think there's a need to reword it in a sense that it does not actually just say that, they allow all groups with advocacies, parang ilang araw dapat maging membro ka nito. You don't necessarily need to be part of the marginalized sector to represent it. Do you think there's a need to reword it in a sense that it does represent the marginalized sector?
I think it's up to Congress, next Congress hopefully, on passing a bill and discussing it on amending the party list law.
Because there has been a debate, even in the Constitutional Commission of 1987, si Father Joaquin Bernas even proposed that a fixed number of congressional seats be set aside for those who are marginalized because of the difficulty in competing against politically and financially established groups. Kumbaga, kapag wala kang pera, paano ka tatakbo, paano ka lalaban? And sinasabi nga nung Kontradaya na dinodomina na ito ng mga malalaking negosyo, ng mga taong may salapi.
Well, I'm happy to say that sa amin wala kaming nominees na in politics. So, bago kami lahat.
But Beaver Lopez is also a nominee.
Yeah. So, bago kami lahat, we're not in politics. So, we're not in politics.
But behind you is also the Lopez family. Is that correct?
Beaver is there. Beaver's one of the nominees, and we discussed it. And this is his own personal thrust because he wants to give back to the communities.
But do you think that it's fair? What's happening now with the party list system? Na yun na nga, 7 out of 10.
We can amend that. Congress can amend that. It's up to them. Hopefully, we'll be part of that, and we'd be open to discussing that, amending the party list law.
So you're for it?
Yeah, 100%.
How? In what way?
Well,
what would you amend?
Okay, sandali ha. Kasi you don't want to jump ahead. But if there will be a bill, we'll actually support it. Now, the particulars about it, that has to be discussed at committee level and the plenary.
Okay. Let's talk about the electoral law since you were a former Comelec Commissioner. When it comes to premature campaigning, there is no, in the sense of the word premature campaigning and the definition of a candidate, parang walang premature campaigning.
Yes.
Your thoughts on that?
Yes.
And what can we do about that?
Okay, the decision came out before kasi, the start of the campaign is right after the last day of the filing. Kasi manual elections pa to eh. So, ang mangyayari doon is, that candidate, pagkatapos nag-file, nag-motorcade. So, sabi ng Supreme Court na you're only a candidate at the start of the campaign period. So, that, in effect, it was referring to manual elections. Automated elections, when you have the filing ahead by how many months, iba na yun. So, what we can do is, we can file a bill amending that and saying that a person is a candidate at the end of the filing of the COC. But if you do that, you're looking at it on a piecemeal basis, no, on solving the problems electoral process. So what you should do, I would suggest you have a holistic overhaul of our election laws. Kasi you have to deal with the election offenses, you have to deal with the mga procedures, you have to deal with the powers.
Is that something you're also looking at? I mean, if you do win a Congress seat.
Oh yes, that's what we've been espousing that since I was a Comelec official pa. Unfortunately, it hasn't yet.
How has campaigning changed for you? I mean, with all the TikTok dancing, what have you had to do? This is a national seat.
Okay. So
how are you doing your own form of campaigning?
I can't sing. I can't dance. I play music. I mix, but I don't. And for me, I do TikTok, but my TikTok is informing people about issues. Pasensya na, I don't dance again. But I believe that social media can be used as a tool to inform people. A lot of people, admittedly, vote for candidates because they entertain the electorate. Ay, gusto ko yan kasi magaling sumaya. Natutuwa ako, but you have to change that mindset. You have to understand that you're there not to entertain. You're there to help make lives better. If you can't do that, think of something else.
Basta wag lang kalimutan ng kalusugan, ano?
Kalusugan.
Habang nangangampanya. I mean, your final words to those in the elections, you did talk about taking care of your health.
Yes. So, we're 91 in ballot. We're espousing rural development, focusing on the barangay. A lot of candidates, and even a lot of supporters, don't forget, monitor your health. I have 3 monitoring systems. 2. I have a Ring health monitor. I have a smartwatch, and I have tools to help me make sure that my BP is stable. And you want to be healthy. You want to campaign. You want to share the message, but you need to be healthy. Sorry.
And set the alarms,
yes.
Right?
But before you go, let me give you this. You remember the last time we met?
Yeah.
At Scarborough. So that's sand from Scarborough Shoal. I told you I'd give it. So that's when I went to Scarborough Shoal last year. I got a small sand.
Ito nakapuslit pa siya, Goyo Larrazabal, papuntang Scarborough without anybody trying to block his path. But ngayon, mukhang mayroong mga
You can't anymore go there.
bloke doon, ano?
Cannot.
All right, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank
I'm
you very
afraid
much.
that's all the time we have for today. We have a former Comelec Commissioner and Partido sa Bagong Pilipino Party List First Nominee, Attorney Goyo Larrazabal. Doesn't that sound like the government slogan, though?
No, kasi our party was founded in 2019 pa eh. Partido.